Strap in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I'm your host, David Lawrence. Thank you guys so much for putting us in your ears this afternoon. We greatly appreciate you guys listening. Before I jump into the topic of today's episode, I want to remind you guys we are on YouTube Music. Subscribe to us there. We're on YouTube. We're on X at NSJQ Podcast. Make sure you follow us, and we're going to have a lot of great content coming your way. The last couple of days, we've been talking about the drivers of the Rolex weekend, and rightfully so. We've been talking winners. We've been talking drivers who have been pulling double duty. But today, I want to pivot a little bit. Let's talk about the media. The men and women who are at the racetrack who make it their job and their passion to tell the stories of the drivers, the teams, the race itself to you. We got writers, photographers, videographers, the production crew that largely go unnoticed behind the scenes, off the camera, who help to tell the story and don't get as much praise as they deserve. And I hope that some of them come across this podcast, to which I want to say thank you guys for all you do. And I really hope I get a chance to shine a light on you guys in future episodes of this podcast. And then you have the on-camera crew, at least on the television side of things. You have the pit reporters, who are down in pit lane in the center of the action to tell you what's going on. And then, of course, you have the commentators and analysts high above the track with a bird's eye view that serve as a guide and a voice to the pictures that you see on television. Or in the case of radio, the commentators, analysts, and pit reporters paint the picture for you to give you an idea of what's going on, as you only have their voices as your guide. My first guest on today's episode is an excellent example of both a pit reporter and a commentator on both TV and radio. His name is Ryan Myrehn. Ryan is one of the newest members of the IMSA radio crew for 2025. And during the Rolex weekend, I got a chance to talk to Ryan in the paddock about his media journey up to this point and what he's looking forward to in 2025. So if you haven't heard of Ryan Myrehn before, trust me, you're going to know him now. I present to some and introduce to others Ryan Myrehn of IMSA Radio. Enjoy our conversation. Hey everybody, I'm here with Ryan Myrehn of IMSA Radio. Ryan, thank you so much for taking a few moments of your time. First off, congratulations on the new role with IMSA. How's it feel to be with IMSA full time?
It's the best. I've been dreaming of being in this position for many, many years. I love this sport. I love this paddock and this series. I've been here before as a print journalist, but always wanted to be in a broadcast role. And when the opportunity was thrown my way in the off season, I jumped at it. There was no doubt this is where I wanted to be.
Awesome. And oh, by the way, you're a very busy guy, by the way, because before you got here, did the War PA, you were down in Mexico City. You also do Formula E. How was that experience?
It's awesome. I've had that chance now the last couple of years to work with the Formula E folks and do the shows that come to the U.S. on CBS here domestically. And it was a great start to my motorsports season for sure. To get down to Mexico, it was a little warmer there than it is here in Florida. But it's nice. I see some of the same faces that were there with Pascal Wehrlein, Antonio Felix da Costa, and several others that are here too. And I love seeing that crossover. That's one of the things that makes the Rolex so fun.
To Ryan's point, it's Thursday. We just finished free practice for the first session of the Rolex. Oh, we got the Windward Racing guys coming through on us real quick here.
Sorry, Phil.
And it is a brisk 48 degrees out here. But Ryan, real quick for my followers who are not familiar with you, take us a little bit on your journey through to racing, how you got to IMSA Radio. just give us a little bit of your journey, how you got here.
I will try and boil it down to the essentials, but I grew up in Indianapolis, so that's where the love of racing came in. You really can't help but fall in love with the sport when Indy is home.
With something called the Indy 500, you can't help but fall in love with racing, right?
That's right, racing and basketball. I think those are the two things we're best known for, and those are my two favorite sports as well. So anyway, grew up watching with my dad, kind of was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I was going off to college and thought broadcasting might be neat. I liked sports, I liked to talk, so I thought it might be a good fit. And pretty early on in my college broadcasting career, I realized racing is really where I wanted to be. It took a little while to get there. It was a winding road working in local radio in Missouri and Michigan, but got a chance to pursue motorsports full-time with Sportscar 365 back in 2017. Worked with IndyCar Radio, worked with the folks at NBC, done some Formula E stuff, SRO, sports car racing as well. A little bit of everything, PRN on the NASCAR side, and just love it. I love the width and breadth of motorsports, so to get to make a career in this field is a dream come true.
Listen, I think it's awesome, and to hear guys like you that continuously have the passion for it, it definitely helps make it even better. So real quick, what's your 2025 like? We know you got the IMSA radio gig. We know you're doing Formula E. What else you got in store?
Yeah, it looks like I'll be back with the SRO America folks on their broadcast this year, and looks like a handful of IndyCar radio events as well, including the Indy 500, which is the big one.
Of course.
Really excited for that as always. I think it'll be my 8th on the network, which is very special. That was my one real dream when I got into this business, is if I could work that race on the radio in the pits one time, I'd had it made. And somehow we're looking at year 8 coming up, which is unbelievable. And then maybe a couple little odds and ends, Porsche Sprint Challenge and whatever else falls my way. But it's looking like a really, really fantastic season.
Last question for you, and I'll let you go. With you being an IMSA, what are you looking forward to most from this 2025 IMSA WeatherTech season? We got these immaculate group of manufacturers, 61 cars, full grid for the Rolex 24. But even with just the Rolex, but looking beyond that, what are you looking forward to most with IMSA this year?
It almost feels like a disservice to the great 61 cars that are here and all the manufacturers that are here, but I'm looking forward to Sebring in the debut of the Valkyrie.
Ah, yes!
It's the one car that isn't here is the one thing I'm most excited for probably this year, but to have the screaming V12 back, the fact that we'll see an LMH spec prototype in IMSA for the first time, see how they interact with the LMDH GTP cars. I'm just fired up for it. It'll be really, really cool to have Heart of Racing on the grid with that Valkyrie.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Ryan, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for the time. Congratulations on the IMSA Radio Road. Best of luck with everything this year.
Thank you. Anytime at all, and congratulations on your show as well.
Thank you. Re-listening to that interview again, it just feels like we're two guys at the bar just talking racing. And I love that about Ryan, his passion for the sport. Once you meet him, you understand it just comes off so easily, and you can tell he's just excited to be here. As you heard from Ryan, you can catch him on IMSA Radio, IndyCar Radio Network, and a host of other places throughout the year. Now that we've covered the radio side of IMSA, let's talk the TV side. And when I was thinking TV, there really was only one name I had to talk to. If you've been watching sports car racing, Formula One, or IndyCar in America over the span of the last 20 years, you're very familiar with this voice. Others became familiar with this voice last summer during the Paris Olympics as he called track and field in prime time. The voice I'm referring to is none other than Leigh Diffey. Diff is one of the busiest guys I know on TV, but never turns down an opportunity to talk to fans. So when he agreed to give me a few moments in the fan zone on Friday, you know I couldn't pass it up. Without further ado, Leigh Diffey on the storylines he was looking for at the Rolex 24 as a broadcaster, looking ahead to Aston Martin's GTP arrival in IMSA, and his very busy 2025. Take a listen. I have the master of the mic, Leigh Diffey, NBC Sports, joining me now. Leigh, thank you so much for the time. First and foremost, as you're looking forward to this Rolex 24, what are two-part question to start off. One, what's the biggest storyline in GTP that you're looking at? And outside of GTP, what's the biggest headline that you're going to be following over the 24?
Well, I think BMW has thrown the first punch by winning the pole position, and with all of the GTP hybrids being in the third year, everybody is well into their routine. They've improved. They know how the software works better on the cars, how the hybrid unit works. So everybody has really fine-tuned over the last couple of years. So seeing BMW's pace at the Raw before the 24 and then seeing their pace in qualifying, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they can do as a whole. That was their very first pole position in GTP hybrid era. They've won a couple of races and they've been on the podium, but that's a big step in the right direction for them. And then seeing what Wayne Taylor Racing does, back with Cadillac, seeing what Porsche Penske Motorsport does, as the reigning champions, not only of the race, but of the series. And then just to see the caliber of this field. I can't wait for it. 61 cars with some of the best drivers from all over the world. I think it's the best field ever assembled here at the Rolex 24, so wherever you look, there's going to be a great story.
It really is. And you mentioned everyone getting fine-tuned. One manufacturer, and I want to look ahead a little bit, that won't get that opportunity, Aston Martin, that will join us at Sebring for the 12-hour. They'll do the World Endurance Championship opener, but how exciting is Aston Martin going to be bringing that Valkyrie? How big is that going to be for the Sebring 12-hour?
I think it's super exciting. It's a great-looking car. There's been a lot of hype about the Valkyrie, and I think it's also testament to where IMSA is as a series at the moment, having Aston Martin in the GTD ranks, but then seeing a manufacturer there step up to the premier class with an all-new prototype and then going on the global scale as well. So I think just taking a step back and having a look at the big picture of the IMSA WeatherTech series, it shows how strong it is, how healthy it is, and for all of us, right, as fans, which we all are, how exciting it is.
And then, Lee, let me take a quick personal note to end this one. You had a very busy 2024. You had NASCAR, you had the Indy 500. You also did a little something called the Olympic Games over the summer. So with NASCAR, NBC back with NASCAR in 2025. You'll pick them up in Iowa in August. What's your schedule looking like for 2025 up until that point?
Yeah, still really busy. I've been doing Supercross, Monster Energy Supercross, and now IMSA. I've got track and field, both indoors and outdoors, and then of course throughout the IMSA WeatherTech series, as many as I can do with all of the other things that I do, and then I'll get a brief summer break before doing the last 14 NASCAR Cup Series races. So still as busy as ever, just doing more of what was already on my plate.
One of the best voices in motorsports and in track and field as well, Leigh Diffey on the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. Lee, thank you so much for your time.
Great to be with you, mate.
What blew my mind at the end of that interview is Lee saying even though he lost IndyCar and the Indy 500 with NBC for this upcoming year, he still says he is just as busy as ever. I'm trying to get like that when I grow up. Huge thank you to Ryan and Lee for their time and insight over the course of the Rolex weekend, and best wishes to you both on an awesome year ahead. Best believe I will definitely be listening and watching. Well, fam, we've reached the end of another episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. Again, thank you guys so much for allowing me in your ears for these 10 to 20 minutes every day. I truly appreciate it, and I hope you guys keep rocking with me. If you're listening to this on the day it drops, it's Wednesday the 29th. We got a couple more days of IMSA Rolex content for you before we finish out the week. And then starting next week, we'll be doing 2 episodes a week. We'll be dropping them in your ears. Haven't made up the schedule fully yet. Probably a Monday, Thursday. It could also be Tuesday, Friday. But we'll definitely be doing 2 episodes a week after this massive 2-week run of Rolex 24 content that we provided for you. Like I said at the start of the show, you can follow us on X at NSJQ Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube at the handle NSJQ Pod. You can also follow me on my personal socials. I will put those handles in the description box of this episode. Thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, I'm David Lawrence, and remember, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. So long, everyone.